Assalamualaikum and hello. My name is Najira binti Omar and my matrix ID is CD140079. Today, I will present about miscellaneous processes in chapter 4. In this subtopic, there are 4 processes. Number 1 is other sheet metal forming operations. Number 2 is dies and presses for sheet metal processes. Number 3 is sheet metal operations that not performed on presses. And number 4 is bending of tip stock. In other sheet metal forming operations, there are 2 operations. Number 1 is operations performed with metal tooling, and number 2 is operations performed with flexible rubber tooling. This is metal tooling for ironing. Ironing is a sheet metal forming processes that uniformly thins the workpiece in a specific area. This is such a useful process to produce a uniform wall thickness part with greater height to diameter ratio. Example of ironing is manufactured of aluminium beverage can. Next, this is rubber forming Guerin process. It is the oldest and most basic of the production rubber pad forming processes. This is before the process when we put force onto the rubber pad and it will press the workpiece down to the uniform block. This is advantages of a Guerin process. Next, dies for sheet metal processes. Most press working operations performed with conventional punch and die tooling, custom design for particular part, and the term stamping die sometimes used for high production dies. This figure shows the components of a punch and die for a blanking operations. This is a progressive die. This is a stamping press. Next, there is a 2 frame of metal tooling. Number 1 is gap frame and number 2 is straight-sided frame. Gap frame is a configuration of the letter C and often referred to as a C frame, while straight-sided frame is box-like construction for higher tonnage. This is a gap frame with single arm. This is a press brake. This is a metal tooling, which is a sheet metal parts produced on a turret press, showing variety of hole shapes possible. This is computer numerical control turret press. This is straight-sided frame press. Next, I will tell about power and drive system. There are 2 presses in power and drive systems. Number 1 is hydraulic presses, number 2 is mechanical presses. The operations that not performed on presses are stretch forming, roll bending and forming, spinning, and high energy rate forming processes or HERF. This is stretch forming. Sheet metal is stretched and simultaneously bent to achieve shape change. So this is the beginning of process, and this is form die is pressed into the work with force, causing it to be stretched and bent over the form. Roll bending is a large metal sheets and plates are formed into curved section using rolls. Continuous bending process in which opposing rolls produce long sections of form shapes from coil or strip stock. So number 1 is straight rolls, number 2 is partial form, and the third one is final form. Spinning is metal forming process in which an axially symmetric part is gradually shaped over a rotating mandrel using a rounded tool or roller. There are 3 types of spinning. Number 1 is conventional spinning, and number 2 is shear spinning, and number 3 is tube spinning. So this is conventional spinning. High energy rate forming or HERF is a process to form metals using large amounts of energy over a very short time. HERF processes include 1. Explosive forming, 2. Electrohydraulic forming, 3 is electromagnetic forming. So explosive forming is a use of explosive charge to form sheet or plate metal into a die cavity. Explosive charge causes a shock wave whose energy is transmitted to force part into cavity. The applications of explosive forming are large parts and typical of aerospace industry. So this is explosive forming. Number 1 is the setup. Number 2 is explosive is detonated. And number 3, the shock wave forms part and plumb escapes water surface. Electromagnetic forming is sheet metal is deformed by mechanical force of an electromagnetic field induced in the work part by an energized coil. Presently, the most widely used HERF process, the applications of electromagnetic forming is tubular parts. This is the setup in which coil is inserted into tubular work part surrounded by die. Number 2 is form part. That's all from me. Thank you.